The intrigues are intriguing.
Yeah. Okay. Here we are. Let's grab this thing. The Artifact Transmuter. I've done a little bit of research on this guy, and I have not so great news. This thing is very misleading. Okay? Because on the surface, it sounds great. Right? On the surface, it sounds great. Extractable, sanctifying, remaining this cycle. You only get to do one a cycle? Oh, this is news to me. This is news to me. So basically, this thing is useless. This thing is useless. Because you can only... I didn't know you had a limit on the extraction that you could do to get a sanctifying elixir. Nobody talked about that in the other stuff that I was watching before I literally wanted to try it myself. This is useless because without at least 2 sanctifying elixirs, you really can't do anything because you can only use you can only create a flower or a feather with one of these. You need 2 to create a sand, you need 3 to create a circlet, and you need 4 to create a goblet, which is what most of us are going to do and going to need. This is the biggest joke I've ever seen. Now, I know there's supposed to be some in-game somehow. I think we're going to get some, I think maybe 1 for free from the event this month. So that's cool. But, and I heard that there's supposed to be some in-game, but they're locked behind some challenges, which I don't know what those are specifically right now. And that's fine. But if they're really complicated, like if it's a lot of bother to get them and you can still only get a few, it's bullshit because you still need at least 2 to work on the artifacts that you're probably going to want to work on. And me personally, sands is not what I'm going to want to do. It's either going to be a circlet or a goblet. That's number 1. Number 2, you cannot use your 5 stars unless they are at least level 4, as you can see with all these that I have locked right now. um, you have to use these. And as you can tell, these are the only ones that I have leveled up that are not being used by someone, which isn't a lot. Um, so, and each of these you get 4. You're trying to get to 100. So each of these, I think up to 12, then they start giving you some bonus points to get to 100. Like the 21, you get 30. You know, so just 30, 60 right here. So I can probably get 1 elixir if I sacrifice some of these, but I don't know. I'd have to look at them to see if I want to or not to begin with, because if I have them, I have them for a reason. What did I just do? Yeah. If I have them for a reason. If I have them saved like this, it's for a reason, because I might use it on somebody later on, even if I'm not using it right now. So you are being coerced to, oh my god, I'm gonna create like here, I'm gonna create one of these with, like, you know, if I need hydro, it's gonna have hydro on it, and then I can give it crit rate, crit damage. And now I've got my 2 main affixes already there, but there's no guarantee, and you can see at the bottom there, cost 4. Oh, sorry, I can't. Cost 2, cost 4, cost 3. There's no guarantee that when you level it up, obviously you're going to create it at level 0 and then you got to level it up. There's no guarantee that the rolls are going to go into crit rate or crit damage. So it could still be kind of a dud even if you get your crit rate, crit damage affixes on there. And you have to sacrifice all of these just to get 1 elixir. And apparently you can only produce 1 elixir per cycle of 37 days. So you're being asked to sacrifice a lot of work that you've done farming artifacts and leveling them up, which is a lot of resin, mora, etc. Just to get something that at the end of the day, if you don't desperately need it, it's not worth getting it. The artifact with the fixes that you want. Number one. Number two, you literally can't right now unless, like, in my case, I'm probably going to want to do a circlet. I need 3. I can create 1. That's only going to allow me to create. I still need to get 2 in game somehow to get that, okay? And then I'm going to be sacrificing these, which, again, these aren't a big deal, but maybe I don't want to sacrifice them. I have to look at their affixes. I kept them for a reason for the future, you know, because you make so much effort to farm these, you don't want to just toss them out unnecessarily. In my case, so I don't recommend you use the transmuter. I feel that, especially if you're a new player, it is a waste of your time. You're going to lose more than you're going to gain because you're already trying to build your artifact. What's the word? Like your backlog of artifacts to be able to use. And if you're a veteran player, you might be like me where there's a reason why you're saving these. You don't necessarily have a ton of these just lying around to get that. And even then, you're not going to waste it on a flower or a feather. You're going to want to use it on one of the other 3. A goblet, a circlet, or a sands. Most likely circlet or goblet. Most likely the goblet, because that's the one that's hardest to get in the artifact set that you want in the first place. Like for me, right? So I don't recommend you do it because you're going to waste more than you're going to gain. You're going to waste so many months of resin and effort in artifact farming for something that at the end of the day, you don't know how it's going to end up. And unless it's something that you really need for a set that you're really working on, for a DPS that you really need to get him or her to the next level, it's not worth it. You're going to lose more than you're going to gain. It could potentially destroy your account as well. For me, right now, I would use it on, I believe, Navia. Because Navia, I've been having a hard time getting a circlet for her of the right main affix with it being a 5-star. So if you look at it, right, again, the goblet, okay, whatever. In her case, I'm not going to change the goblet. And I'm not going to change the sands. I'm fine with these. But a 4-star crit damage circlet is not so great, right? It also doesn't have good substats. So for this circlet, for her, because I've been trying to farm it and wasting resin on it and getting nowhere, and I literally need a crit damage specifically because I have her signature weapon, which I got by luck. And it's crit rate, so I want a crit damage circlet unless I get a Geo Goblet, which I don't have. Those are very specific affixes that I need. So it would be worth it for... And this set for Navia is, like, really good. I've tried Golden Troop, you know what I mean? It's really good. It's just... I want it on her. It needs to go to her. She shines with it, and I've put investment in her. I've you know what I mean, like I've crowned one of her talents so far. I might crown her burst. You know, there's a lot of investment. So for me, for this particular, it's worth doing it, right? To get to the 3 elixirs somehow and doing it. But am I gonna do this for every character? Am I gonna do this for Al-Haytham, where I don't really have a set on him, but he's doing fantastic the way he is? No. Am I gonna do it on Zhongli, who I also don't have a set on? I have a sub DPS Zhongli. He's not a shield bot. No, I'm not, because it's not worth it. It's not worth it, and apparently there's a cap as well on how many I can make. Where am I? I lost it. Where is it? There we go. Right? And I don't know yet in game how I'm gonna get them or how many I'm gonna get. So this is really blowing steam up our booties, as they say. You're not gonna gain a whole lot from it. It's not as exciting as it sounded in the special program. Don't get me wrong; it's a cool tool that's there. Like I said, for me, for my Navia, because I've been struggling so much to get her a 5-star crit damage circlet that's of the set that I need, I'm gonna do it when I get the 3 somehow. I don't know right now if I'm gonna sacrifice these. I probably will sacrifice the lower level ones. I don't know about the higher level ones. But I'm also limited. That's only gonna get me 1 for 37 days, so I'm not gonna be able to do anything. Um, and I'm being very picky because I'm a picky guy because I've spent a lot of money, resin and time, I would say, and Mora on what I do have, even if it's not great. I'm not gonna just wholesale sacrifice my account to get 1 artifact with the right affixes, which I still are gonna have RNG as I level it to 20. So be very careful. I don't suggest that if you're a new player, do not mess with this thing. You could potentially destroy your account. And even if you've been playing for a while, only use it if it's something where you know you really want that set. Like I said with Navia, like there's few sets where you're gonna want to even do that. Veneerer, like most cases, like I told, Ahatham needs gilded, but I didn't give him gilded, and I don't care. Zhongli sub DPS would be something like Emblem, or even the Nighttime Whispers. I had that on him for a bit when Navia was trying Golden Troop out. It's not necessary for a sub DPS, And some of those other sets, like the support sets, like Tenacity of the Millilith, half of the time you're going for the set because of the set, not and you don't care so much about the main effects too much. So there really isn't any case where you really should force yourself to put a complete set on a character unless, like I said, it's a special kind of a DPS or someone that you really love, and it's still not worth sacrificing all your artifacts or most of the artifacts that you've spent resin, time, effort farming just to get an elixir, where you're going to create an artifact that still is going to have RNG as you level it up, and you don't know if it's going to be completely worth it or not. Is it good? Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be decent, maybe, most likely, but it's a question of sacrifice. And I think that a lot of people might get hyped by this and want to, let me just like sacrifice all of these and get like a sanctifying elixir, and now I can create my own. It's not really as cool as it was advertised to be. It is a potentially dangerous thing if you're not picky. You're going to have to be super picky about what you're going to use and for who. And that's all I can really say. You're still pretty much stuck the old school way of RNG farming artifacts and trying to get the right affixes that way, and then hoping that they roll as you level them up properly. There's really no reason for you to do this except for a character where you really are shooting for a set and it's worth it, and you're struggling to get that one piece and you've been struggling on it for a while, then yes, and then you're still wishing for the best with that artifact as you spend more money and more Mora and leveling it up, and artifacts and vials leveling it up that you are struggling to get yourself in the game. The game has very limited resources, especially for F2P players and even Dolphins, and it's not enough to go around to make this thing viable. And I didn't even know they capped it the way they did. Unless we're able to get a lot of sanctifying elixirs in game, where you don't have to sacrifice these artifacts to just create one, it's really not as good as it's hyped. I don't recommend it. It could potentially destroy your account if you don't know what you're doing, if you're not very careful about it and very picky about it. Like for me, like I said, off the top of my head, Navia. But other than that, I don't think I would spend my time, on most characters. It's just not worth it on most. So pick your poison. but this is very deceptive. They didn't really talk about that in the special program, and now I see why.
The intrigues are intriguing.
Yeah,